and welcome to Dialogue. As we mark 80 years since the victory in China's war of resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War, a new film is making waves. Dead to Rights, centered on the Nanjing massacre, has become a summer hit, earning over 1.8 billion yuan, or about $250 million in just 2 weeks. Why is it striking such a chord with Chinese audiences, and how does it help us remember one of the darkest chapters of history? In the first half, I speak with Evan Kale, an American who donated a rare photo album documenting Japanese war crimes in Nanjing. He attended the film's Beijing premiere and called it a 10 out of 10. In the second half, we'll hear from more guests for a deeper look. That's our topic. I'm Xu Qinduo. Hello, Evan. Welcome to Dialogue. Let's begin with the film Dead to Rights, which you attended the premiere in Beijing. So share with us something about the movie and what do you think of it?
It was an incredible film, a tremendous film, a very good and powerful film, but I never want to see it again because it was so disturbing. It was a 10 out of 10 film that really rocked me emotionally. And it rocked me emotionally because, one, is dealing with the Nanjing massacre. It's extremely difficult to watch what transpires on screen. It's a lot of the horrific things that you've heard about, that you've read about, that you may have seen pictures about, but to see it as a movie, to actually see it being carried out, whether or not it's actual footage or it's the fact that it was a recreation for a film, very, very, very difficult and profound to watch. But it's an excellent learning tool. There's a lot to be taken away from the film, not just its message, but what you're seeing, the recreation of history on the big screen. And it was a tremendously emotional experience for me, just A, because it was so disturbing, and B, because I have a connection with this film. I rose to where I am in China, and people know me now because of my acts of preserving history and doing the right thing and getting the word out about the truth of what happened in Nanjing in 1937. And that's what this film deals with, is trying to keep history alive, trying to expose what happened against great consequence and great odds, trying to keep the memories of the victims and the acts of the aggression or the horrible, horrible things that happened, showcase it and broadcast it to the world. So I felt a deep connection with this movie because of the plot line and what happened with me. So between just how disturbing it was to watch, and then the fact that I have a connection with this disturbing film, it was a lot for me to handle. I literally cried in the theater. But tremendous film. I can't recommend people see it enough. It's going to be opening, I know, in North America, and I've been using my platform on American social media to tell Westerners, hey, go see this movie, especially if you're unfamiliar with what happened. It's a great learning tool.
Well, Evan, you have a degree in Japanese studies and also have taken courses on World War II and East Asian history. So did you find the film to be authentic based on your studies of history?
Not only did I find it to be authentic, I was very impressed at the little details that they included in the film without taking away from the film. Example, the Japanese war crimes. I mean, not only was it a tremendous loss of life, it's one of the, if not the greatest looting in history of what was stolen physically, items that have never been recovered, hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars taken and lost and in private collections, lost, buried underground, lost to history. And you see that in the film, and it doesn't take away from the story, but you see the Japanese troops looting the city. And I thought that was such a really good detail to include without taking away anything from the film. And that's just one example of many of the historical details that were put into the film, that really just goes to show that the film is A, historically accurate, and B, well written in a way that is educational, where you're seeing things happen, but it's not taking away from the story. It's not like they don't do like a 10-minute like subplot of all the theft. It's just something that you see happening in the background. And knowing history like I do, I was very impressed to see that is one example of many of extra nuances put in the film to really capitalize on the history.
According to one of your posts on the X platform, you also visited the film set in Shanghai, where the people recreated the streets of wartime Nanjing, the streets, also the collapsed buildings, etc., to the most authentic possible. What was the experience?
Truly profound. I can't recommend people go there enough. It's one thing to see pictures, it's another thing to see a movie, and it's another thing entirely to be able to walk through a one-to-one scale of the recreation of the destruction. I mean, there were no bodies, which, for better or worse, that would be a lot to handle. But just seeing the destruction, walking through, I kept thinking to myself, like, where would people hide? What would you do? How would you survive if this was your reality? It's just so grim. I almost don't have words for it. It took my breath away. But being able to walk through that and see the scale of destruction with my own eyes on this film set was really profound. And again, not only would I recommend people see the movie, I would also recommend if people are in Shanghai to go and visit that, because it's almost like walking through a museum. It's really impressive that they built what they did and that they're keeping it open for the public to go and further appreciate the history.
Evan, as you said, you are, connected to the movie, actually, by a photo album you collected, a couple of years ago back. I know some people are familiar with your story. For those who are not that familiar, tell us when and how did you discover, this photo album, what happened to this photo album, all the reactions there?
So I am a social media figure in America too. I go by the name Pawn Man. It's a play on pawn shops. I don't actually own a pawn shop. My business, St. Louis Park Gold and Silver, buys and sells. We mainly deal with precious metals, but we also deal in collectibles. So I use my following for business, and people mail me items from other states. I make a video about going through it, the intrigue of it. I buy it for profit, and then I sell it. And people would advertise all kinds of stuff to me. I had about 100,000, 200,000 followers, something like that, on American TikTok. When in August of 2022, I received a photo album from somebody that said, I got this photo album. My dad had it. It's been in the attic forever. There's some really disturbing pictures in here. And so I got this thing. And when I opened it up, a few pages in, I discovered that there's photos of war crimes in there. This really needs to go to a museum. I don't know what I'm looking at. It could be very expensive. I don't have the means to buy this, I don't think, if it's what I think it is, because I thought it was photos of the Nanjing massacre. So I made a video because I thought if I can turn to social media and get people's attention that way, maybe finally I can have some luck doing the right thing here and getting this in a museum. And then the video just went mega, mega, mega viral like that. It had tens of millions of views inside of a few hours. And suddenly I was in all these American media outlets, and people were saying that I staged the whole thing. And it took a really nasty negative turn really fast, and suddenly I became the boogeyman of the internet. I was getting death threats. I was getting threats against my business, my life, my safety, and this book was like the subject of the internet and me and what I did. It was like the viral video of the moment. But meanwhile, I had Chinese people showing up at my store and paying me tremendous respect for highlighting the events of the Nanjing massacre, because I didn't realize that I got a great education and I knew all about it, but most people in America and the West, they don't know about this. So I decided right away, okay, I should just figure out a way to buy this myself and donate this to China, because I think that's the right thing to do. And these Chinese people are showing me so much appreciation for highlighting this history. This history is their history. It's not my business to say where in China it goes. I think I should just give it to China and try and do a good thing with this. So I got a lawyer because it's an enormously complicated process interacting with a foreign government as an American. And my lawyer got in contact with the Chinese embassy, and we arranged a donation. It took a couple weeks. But then on November 16th, 2022, the consulate in Chicago sent a representative to come meet me at my lawyer's office. I read him a letter. I donated him the album. And then I received a diplomatic piece of porcelain, which I did not ask for. I still can't believe that I was given that. But I gave it to the consulate because, I thought, well, if I give it to a museum in China, I'm still choosing Chinese history, and that's inappropriate. I should just give it to the government and let them figure out what they want to do with it, rather than me, a white person, say, here's where it goes, here's where it belongs. I don't want to do that.
I know you visited China for the first time last year. Tell us more about that. Would you call it, a healing journey? What made you to draw that kind of conclusion, a healing journey there?
Well, I mean, Anybody watching this, look no further than my social media account, Pawn Man, on American social media. I'm still called a scammer, a hoaxer, somebody that used a war crime to get famous. People still think that in America about me, and people said some really terrible, terrible things about me. And it's one of the worst feelings to be accused and branded of something you didn't do. I didn't use
It
this
hurts.
was not an attempt to get famous. And that's what people still think in America. They think my diplomatic porcelain came off Amazon. They think that's a hoax. So it is just maddening to be accused of that and have that be your image and your reputation when that simply is not true. And it's caused, I mean, the whole World War II photo book saga, it cost me so much emotional damage. I started having panic attacks. I sought therapy. I lost like 20 pounds in a few weeks. I really lost my
A lot
mind
of
with
pressure.
how
Yeah.
all this pressure. Yeah. So, and then a year after I made the donation, I wrote an essay called "Through the Storm" because I wanted these media outlets that ran me into the ground and jumped on this bandwagon of I'm using a war crime to get famous. I wanted them to write a follow-up piece so that I could at least clear my name, and none of them wanted to do it. None of them have given me the time of day. Even still, I've been a top news story in China. Not a single American outlet has ran a story about me or this or what I've done or what I'm trying to do, and it's very frustrating. So coming here to China, I wanted to come pay my respects to the people of Nanjing and be here on Memorial Day. I wanted to introduce myself to China. This bridge of peace, it wasn't really my idea when I landed here on November 16th of 2024. But within a week, I realized, oh, I there's something really good I can do here. And I think this should be the rest of my life. So this warm reception, how I've been received in China, how I've been treated, has helped me heal. It's really helped me put my pieces together back in my head. And it's been profound to be this well received, to be treated like this, and to have a role that is validating and rewarding in my life. I can't believe what my life has turned into. So that's why the book that I have out now, adapted from my essay, is called Through the Storm, because I went through a storm and I'm out the other side now. I mean,
Yeah,
it is
that's
still
what
very
I'm going to
frustrating.
touch upon. The book you just wrote,
Yeah.
Dare to Do Through the Storms. Just in, judging the book by the name here, Dare to Do, obviously you are talking about the courage, you're talking about challenges, responsibility, and as an individual.
Right. I was offered all kinds of money for that photo book. Somebody offered to give me a sports car. They didn't say what kind, and I love cars, but even still, at that point, it was never for sale in the first place. The United States State Department, the U.S. government, called my lawyer and they said, "Do not let him donate that book." And I walked in as the ambassadors were about an hour out. I walked into my lawyer's office to talk to him, and he said, "Yeah, the U.S. government called. They want the book." And I was like, "What? What do we do?" He said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to give it to them. They're already coming here. It's the right thing." And he said, "Well, then do it. If there's a problem, I'll handle it." And luckily, that was all that came of it. They haven't bothered me about this, but I definitely was intimidated in a lot of different ways to not do this, and I knew it was the right thing to do, and the right thing to do is always what you should do.
What's the consideration of the government, not to give the book to the Chinese side?
I don't want to speculate too much. You know what? I just for the sake of because I guarantee you they're watching this. I don't want to speculate. The fact is, I didn't do it. And I'd love for them to call me up and have a conversation with them about what I can do now productively to help everything. But yeah, they really did not want me to do that.
Evan, as China prepares to mark the 80th anniversary of the end of the World War II on September the 3rd, what message would you like to share with Chinese people, with your global audiences about the remembrance, justice, and reconciliation?
History is important. It's important to remember to keep the truth alive, to discuss the truth for the sake of the teaching tool so that we don't repeat the mistakes of the past. Genocide still happens today all over the world. And genocide happened then, and it happened. This is 88 years ago now, and we're still doing this. And we obviously aren't learning from our mistakes because it still happens. So keeping the truth alive is very important. It's important to discuss and remember history for the honor of the victims and for the dignity of our species. Diplomacy is also important too. It's important to remember that we need to get along, not grow apart. One of my goals with this role, I think our species needs to work together better so that we can get into space, so that we can advance into the next frontier. I think that's what's going to happen this century. But unfortunately, due to conflicts on this Earth sphere, it's massively holding us back from advancing to our true human potential. So I would like people to remember that we should be getting along, not growing apart. Now, unfortunately, due to far right movements in many different countries, that's not happening. Isolationism is taking over. Denying of history is taking over, as we've seen lately right now with Japan. But I really challenge anybody watching this to do better and think about something constructive, not something destructive.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you for speaking to us.